So we're doing laps around the 3-Star Mall in McMinnville, Tennessee. I'm kind of just trying to figure out what each storefront was at each point in time. Down here was the JCPenney. I think they've converted it into like government stuff for the county. But, you know, it still looks like a empty storefront from in here.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another MallDoc. In today's episode, we're heading to the small rural town of McMinnville, Tennessee, to explore its wooden-clad dead mall that's been lost to time for over 45 years, the 3-Star Mall. From the outside, 3-Star appears like any other generic strip mall, but through its doors lies a backrooms of corridors and shuttered storefronts, all trapped in the early 1980s. Nowadays, media and pop culture seem to have this idea that the 80s were all neon and synthesizers, but at least to me, 3-Star Mall represents a lot of what the aesthetics of the 80s actually were. Dark wooden tones, planters, and artificial lanterns and lighting throughout. Anyway, with all that said, join me and let's go explore the 3-Star Mall. I'd like to welcome you to McMinnville, Tennessee, and the 3-Star Mall. The day I shot this footage, June 29th, 2026, was the hottest day of the summer up to that point, and stepping out of my car was like getting hit with a wall of straight 95-degree Middle Tennessee heat. Entering the mall, though, offered cool relief and instantly sent me back in time to the late 1970s, which is where we begin the story of the 3-Star Mall. The 70s were a time when indoor malls were the hot new trend in the United States, which was proving to be true in all parts of the country, not just on the suburban outskirts of big cities, but within rural towns as well, with many small rural malls cropping up to provide shopping to the residents living in those communities. On December 20th, 1978, plans were announced in McMinnville, Tennessee, a town of about 10,600 people, for a brand new 263,000 square foot mall located off of Highway 70 South, to be known as the 3-Star Mall. At the time it was first proposed, the mall had a projected cost of $9 million, and was set to include 30 inline tenants. Kmart would also be announced as the first anchor at 3-Star Mall, and the project as a whole would have a projected opening date of fall 1979. Work on the mall began soon after the announcement, and locals were eager to see what their brand new mall would have to offer. However, as the decade drew to a close and the soft opening date approached, work would be halted on the mall's construction due to alleged bribery attempts. In late 1979, a federal investigation began looking into various supposed bribery attempts involving local city leaders and mall promoters. In the end, a man named Joe Powell Shelton pleaded guilty in a U.S. District Court to trying to bribe 2 McMinnville city aldermen, with the end goal of lower-cost financing on the 3-Star Mall. Shelton would eventually serve 3 months in federal prison, and work resumed on the mall in March 1980. Construction continued, and Kroger and JCPenney were revealed as 2 more anchors for the mall around this time. Plans and work would soon come to fruition as 1981 approached and the 3-Star Mall prepared to open. While no exact date is recorded, 3 Star Mall officially opened its doors in March 1981 and was an instant success within the community. The mall's layout consisted of one main concourse anchored by Kmart on the east end and JCPenney on the west end. A center court in the middle featured a stage surrounded by planters. In fact, the entire mall was adorned with lush planters and vintage-style lanterns, all underneath the incredible wooden roof it still retains today. Now, after opening, very little history is actually recorded on the 3 Star Mall. While I've tried to piece everything together as best I can, you may hear a bit less from me throughout the remainder of this video. That being said though, it is safe for me to say that the mall began its life as a quintessential example of an early 80s small town mall. By the mid-80s, Goodies had also opened inside the mall as a major inline tenant, and in 1984, some stores located in the mall included Cato's, GNC, Jay's Restaurant, Radio Shack, Sound Shop, and Walden Books, along with many other small local shops as well. Around that time, 3 Star Cinemas would also open as a small cinema just west of the mall. With the nearest other mall being nearly an hour's drive away in the town of Cookeville, 3 Star Mall faced very little competition from other shopping centers or retail sites. Sure, it wasn't a large draw outside of McMinnville, but it perfectly served the community it was a part of, and seemed set to thrive for many years. However, like many other rural malls nationwide, little did anyone know that the 3 Star Mall would soon face the age-old story of a gray ghost mall fading away and being lost to time. I feel it's worth mentioning that at nearly every mall I've visited, I've had to at least make some effort to film subtly and avoid security as well as other shoppers. However, at the 3 Star Mall, I didn't see a single member of mall management or security, or even an office where one would be for that matter. If I'm being completely honest, I wasn't even really trying to hide the fact that I was filming, but nonetheless, I wasn't so much as acknowledged by any of the other mall patrons while I was there, most of which consisted of mall walkers or those visiting the senior center. I really do wonder who locks up the mall at the end of the night, or who would even check the security cameras recording throughout the concourses. I don't know, just some thoughts I had. The 90s were quiet for Three Star Mall, with nothing changing other than the slow aging of the mall. A local Walmart a few miles away was upgraded to a supercenter in 1996, creating more big box competition that the mall had to face. As the 2000s arrived and the mall turned 20 years old, some sources begin to describe an increasing number of vacancies within the shopping center. In January 2002, Kmart filed for bankruptcy as the company began to fail, and a few months later on March 8th, it would announce a round of store closures nationwide. That list of closures included Kmart at Three Star Mall, which closed later that year. After the closure of Kmart, some minor renovations may have been made, although it's not entirely clear what was changed and to what extent. Some sources state that a United Outlet store briefly occupied the East Anchor space after Kmart's departure, although I wasn't able to find any definitive proof of that. What I do know though is that sometime in the early to mid 2000s, Rose's opened on the mall's east end, replacing the shuttered Kmart. By this point, the mall already had a number of empty storefronts, as reported in a post made to deadmalls.com on August 4th, 2006. That post was made 20 years ago, and as you can clearly see, conditions at the mall today are unfortunately much, much worse. Three Star Mall is an interesting name for a mall. It's named for the 3 stars on the Tennessee state flag, which represent each of the 3 grand divisions of the state, west, middle, and east. However, as many people have pointed out, 3 Star Mall just sounds like a mall that only received 3 out of 5 stars, implying that it's mediocre and only barely worth visiting. I doubt that ever did any real harm to the mall, I just think it's kinda funny. Goodies filed for bankruptcy in late 2008 and announced in early 2009 that it would be closing all of its stores. The store shuttered that year, but would actually reopen soon after, when the Goodies chain was purchased by Stage Stores Incorporated. The 2010s arrived with more stagnation at 3 Star Mall, as it struggled to retain tenants against the ever-prevalent landscape of big box stores and online shopping. Come 2019, the mall would be sold by its owners at the time, Urshig Properties Incorporated, to Monroe Retail Group for $8 million. The same price had been constructed for in 1981, albeit at a much lower value. In late 2019, it was announced that all Goodies stores would be converted to Gordmans by late 2020. However, as the 20s began, the pandemic took a toll on many retailers nationwide. Stage Stores would liquidate all of their stores early that year, including the Goodies at 3 Star Mall, which shuttered this time for good. Things soon went from bad to worse, as JCPenney filed for bankruptcy in June of 2020 and announced its own round of closures, including the McMinnville store. By the end of 2020, 3 Star Mall was left with 2 major stores missing, and ever-dwindling hope for the future.
So I'm down inside this Jay's restaurant, and it's like one of the only businesses that open here in the 3 Star Mall. And so I figured I would give it a try. I'm not starving, but I just ordered some chili cheese fries and a water. So give it a shot before I fly the drone and then get back on the road. So if I'm being honest, the fries were not the best. I mean, they were like a 5 out of 10, maybe. Nothing to call home about, but nonetheless, maybe their other food is better, and I recommend supporting the restaurant, one of the only businesses left in the 3 Star Mall.
3 Star Mall continued to lose tenants through the early 2020s, including Hibbett Sports, Cato, and Shoe Sensation. On July 26, 2023, it was reported that Warren County had acquired the mall, with plans for major improvements in the coming years. In July 2024, a brand new senior center opened in the former Goodies space, and in early 2026, the former JCPenney was officially converted into new health department offices. A new veteran services office also opened near Rose's around the same time.
My goodness, it is hot out here. So yeah, the 3 Star Mall in McMinnville, Tennessee. I'm gonna head back to the car, and I think I'm gonna try and find a spot to fly up the drone, and then hit the road.
With that said, we've officially caught up to the present in 3 Star Mall's history. I did my best to piece everything together, and I think it turned out pretty good. 3 Star Mall might be the most unique mall I think I've ever been to, since it's really been almost completely unchanged since its conception in the late 70s. Stepping through its doors feels like stepping through a time machine, back to a time when you could get all of your shopping done under one wooden roof, surrounded by planters and lanterns. It really is sad to see how empty it's become, but now that it's owned by Warren County, I don't see it closing anytime soon, since it's increasingly serving as a community center for the residents of McMinnville, and I think that's a great thing. Anyway, with all that said, I want to thank you for joining me on this trip to the incredible 3 Star Mall. My next video will likely be MallDoc 19. Life is about to get busy again, but I hope to get out to film and release it hopefully by the end of the summer. If you made it this far and enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, leaving a like, and sharing your thoughts and stories of 3 Star Mall. I read every comment, and your support means a ton. I hope you all stay cool out there through this crazy heat wave, and have an amazing Independence Day. I'll see you at the next mall.